If you've been thinking about adding a teleprompter to your home studio or you've been struggling with the one you've already got, then get excited. Elgato's prompter has so many things to love and it solves multiple headaches with one product. Now, I've been using a teleprompter for about 3 years. And for me, it's less about the scripts and more about the eye contact on live calls, whether that is looking directly at the person I'm speaking with during a virtual meeting, or if I can see a copy of the presentation that I'm sharing with an audience. But buying a teleprompter for a home studio can be very, very frustrating. Let's actually take a look at what an affordable teleprompter looks like. Typically, there are 3 different aspects of this. You have a place to mount your camera, you have a place to put your display, and then you have the glass. You have to provide the camera and the display. They give you the glass so that you can look through it, see your camera, but also see the display. Now, typically with this type of display, you're going to either use an iPad and put it here so you can see the reflection. You could also use a phone, or my preferred option is to actually get a small monitor that fits here so you can see that. The advantage of the monitor is you just plug it in, it acts like a secondary monitor, and you can just drag things onto the screen. However, in both cases, you had to be able to either flip the monitor or flip the tablet, meaning when we look at this, everything in the glass is reflected, so it's reversed. So if you were going to use a tablet, you would need to get special software that allowed you to flip the image. Now, if you wanted to read a script, then that was usually different software. You also had to make sure you had enough power or battery life in your mobile device. There were just all these headaches to think about, cables to figure out, and just honestly, it's extremely frustrating. That's why so many people hate setting up or buying a teleprompter, but I also think this is why Elgato has kind of knocked it out of the park with Prompter. Okay, so why does it stand out against other options? Why am I so excited? Well, let's go through the list, and yes, we are starting with the fact it has a built-in 9-inch monitor. You do not have to fuss or be confused anymore about what should I get for my display? Am I going to use a home tablet? How am I going to flip it? All of those questions, gone. Taken care of. Out of the box, you have a built-in monitor, you plug it in, and it is ready to be used. That to me is so important and the best feature by far. But there are other things that I love. The other is the footprint. So I think this could fit in most home office settings. It really is a versatile size and footprint, but also it is a lightweight. This means that you have more options for mounting. So whether you want to use a mount to your desk, whether you want to use a tripod or something like a swivel arm, you just have a lot more options because it is not really heavy. Previously, my teleprompter was quite heavy, so I didn't just have to worry about a sturdy enough tripod, but also balance, because once you added the display and the camera and you had the glass and the construction, you really had to make sure that you had a center of gravity. This is just a much better situation and so many more mounting options. Okay, the next one, I love a single cable. I love anything that reduces the number of cables going into my computer, or I guess my hub. But in this case, you have one cable that will not only connect the display, so it starts acting as the external display, but also it means that it has a power source. And anything that reduces cables is good in my books. All right, the next, Camera Hub software. So the Camera Hub software allows you to actually control the prompter, and let's take a look inside. So this is what the Camera Hub looks like. And over here, you can see that there is a tab called Prompter at the top. And with the prompter, it's connected here with your output. You can control the brightness of your prompter here. You can also display, do you want to show a display, meaning use it like an extra monitor? You can bring whatever you want on the screen, or are you going to use it to read a script? In this case, let's take a look at the script. So when I open this, it already came with some script that you could practice with. And here you can click on these different sections to show the section you want on the screen. It does have an option for auto scroll. So at the bottom, if you press play, it will start playing, and I'll show you an example in a moment. And over here, you can adjust the font size, the margin, so how wide or narrow it is. You can change the colors. You can also change the opacity. So you've got all of these things set up. So let's take a look at what I'm actually seeing when I look in the prompter. So if I press play, it scrolls, and you can set your scrolling speed. You can also use these to toggle to the next section, and it will jump forward, or you can jump back to which section you want to show on your prompter. You can change things like the margin if you want it to be wider. I really recommend go as narrow as possible. Font size, you can adjust the font size up if you want it to be really big, or if you want to fit a little bit more on the screen, you can adjust that here. And then you can also adjust the scrolling speed. And over here in this text area, you can just highlight, delete, edit, add more sections if you want. It's really pretty straightforward to use, but each of these will be its own chunk, which you can cycle through. Now, this is made by Elgato, which means Stream Deck. Yes, that is the next thing that I love. It's controlling this with the Stream Deck. So let's take a look at a side-by-side. I've got the Stream Deck here on my desk, and I have the screen displayed up here. So you can see what I can see. Now I have this set up. It's not all of the controls. There are lots of different controls. And also these are the key options, which would be available on any of the Stream Decks with keys, also the pedal, and you can use this on your mobile device as well if you have the app. So let's take a look at some of these. First of all, we have control key. So if I press play, it will start the scroll. And then if I press it again, it will stop. If I want to move forward a chapter, I can do this, move forward. I can also go to the previous chapters. If you have the dials, you can also press to control, and you can also use the dial to have a little bit more scrolling. So it's a little bit more refined than just jumping forward and back, which is a really nice option. There is, for the keys, an option to scroll, and you can set how much you want to scroll each time you press the button. We also, it's harder to see here on the camera, but we can adjust the margin. So if we want to go wider, or if you want to go narrower, we also have font size. So I can use the dials to adjust the font size. You can also do something like here, I set a key for a specific font size. If you have a favorite font size, let's make this really big. And then we can click the size that we want. Similarly, speed, you can have a key set to a speed that you like. If you have the dials, you can actually turn this up. So if we play this, we can start to turn it a little bit faster. It's getting faster, it's getting faster. And I could always push this button to go back to a speed that I usually like. So these are just some of the buttons. Let's pause this here. We also have the ability to jump back to the top, or you can also set specific sections. You could name them so you know what it is, and you can press a specific section to go to that one and then start to play. So you have lots of options using the Stream Deck. And as a reminder, it works with your Stream Deck mobile. So if you have iOS, you have access to a free 6-key Stream Deck. I've got a video on that. But if you have the device or the Stream Deck mobile app on Android, then you can set all of this up as well and use your phone. Now, what if you sometimes want to read a script, but also you want to be able to see something? Maybe you are in a call or a meeting and you want to talk to someone face to face, but occasionally you want to refer to your notes. Well, there's also another amazing option. If we take a look back here again, you will see that you can actually switch between modes in Camera Hub. So if I press this here, I can show my display. So if I'm on a Zoom call or I have something else I want to look at, I can access it with one touch. I can go between my text in the script and right back to the display. So you can easily toggle between these two, whether on your Stream Deck or on your mobile app. You can also use the Camera Hub app to toggle in between the two, but I love that it is at the touch of a button. You can switch from a script or seeing your notes to switching back to whatever you want to see on the display. Now, whenever I talk about something new or my opinion, I always like to share my wish list. And in this case, my wish list is really just focused on the Camera Hub software. There were a couple of headaches when I was setting it up. First, it didn't recognize the prompter, so I did a restart of my computer, and then it came back the next time. And there were a couple of times where it kind of froze up on me and I had to restart the software. I'm hoping that gets fixed the longer that this is out. But the other thing I would say is on my wish list is for putting together the text. So if we go over into the software, right now you can easily add things, but I would love to be able to rearrange. So if I could drag these and rearrange them, that would be amazing. I also thought you couldn't add in something in between. Let's say after the second one, I wanted to add something more here. At first, I thought there was no way to add it. It turns out if you put the cursor down and you do Shift Enter will give you a new line in between. So that's really helpful to know, but I only found that out by accident. I did not actually know that was a thing. So I wanted to make sure that I shared that a little tip with you. And I'd love to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments if you think the prompter would be a good fit in your space. If you couldn't already tell, I'm kind of a fan, and I absolutely think this would help you to run more professional, engaging, and seamless virtual presentations.